You already mentioned our next speaker, actually, when you mentioned Gett. And Gett is a story that I think is probably, first of all, a name that many of us in London are very, very familiar with. I first met Gett when they became a member of UK Israel Business in 2014, when I think they had 20 people in an office in Highgate, something around that. But Matteo now runs a team of over 200 just in the UK. I won't tell the rest of your story, but I'd like to introduce Matteo de Renzi, CEO of Gett for Western Europe. Thank you, Matteo.
Thank you, Hugo.
It's on the Legson.
Cool. Cool. So thank you, Hugo, for the introduction. And thank you, Ranan, for the introduction, actually. I didn't expect that. I mean, we heard a few key concepts. We heard about technology. We heard about customer excellence. We talked about great customer experience. And we heard two key words in what Ranan said: sustainability and disruption. Okay? So not by chance, they're very much in the very common word in these days. So let me talk to today of what we call sustainable disruption in the world of urban mobility. Okay? This is what we do. So 1 second about Gett. You probably know what Gett is. Gett was founded in 2011 in Israel, expanded very, very quickly across Israel, of course, then Russia, UK, New York. Today is one of the biggest contender of Uber, again, in this space. We play in a different market, though, because we're more focused on corporate, B2B, and we play more the quality and operational excellence angle, when instead Uber has a different strategy, as you all know, mainly focused on price and mass market. So heavily funded last year from Volkswagen, 300 million in May 2016, followed up by 140 million in November by Sberbank, and of course experiencing triple-digit growth year on year. London and in general UK is very, very good market for us, kind of natural landscape for our service, as a very demanding customers, needs for very high quality service, and then of course a very crowded market. So perfect fit for us. Okay? So that's a big industry. Okay? We're talking about trillions. Okay? Just to give an idea, the industry of the personal transportation is estimated to be around $10 trillion in terms of size. Very simple calculation. Every year, it's estimated that 10 trillion miles are traveled, more or less $1 each, 10 trillions. So very big. So even more interesting is that it's an industry that is under big changes. Okay? We all know that in mature markets like UK or like mainland Europe, car ownership is declining. Services like Gett, like Uber, and many others are ramping up. Or even equally interesting concept like the car sharing, like Zipcar in London. This is really happening, okay? But what I found very fascinating is the speed at which this is happening. And this is the speed. There are analysts estimates that by 2025, 50% of all traveled mile will be done on on-demand services. 50% by 2025. So in our world is day after tomorrow, okay, more or less. Now, this is fantastic, it's great, big market, incredible rates, but today, here, and especially in London, we have an issue, okay? And that's the issue, okay? We are all more or less Londoners. I probably imagine that you know what I'm talking about. Today, London and our cities in general are under big strain. Let me quote you a couple of numbers, okay? Average speed in London, 8 miles per hour. Nothing very different than 100 years ago when there were horse and carriages. Okay? These are official stats from TfL dated December 2016, and I have no reason to think that now the situation has improved. Okay? 8 miles per hour. Second, think about the impact on the population, of the traffic, of not actual way of moving. Almost 40% of patients miss an appointment because of delay in transportation. And each of these appointments cost us 125, 127 quid, each of them. Hundreds of millions of dollars wasted in that space. Last but not least, if you think even more surprising, I mean, we all live in London, we work in the center of London, we don't feel it. But if you take GLA, Greater London Area, still 30% of commuters do use a car to go to work every single day. And 70% of them drive alone. So can you imagine the amount of inefficiencies and waste that there is in the system, especially in a city like London that is keep on growing in terms of population? Okay? So great market, fantastic, big opportunities for everybody, big problem now for our cities. Okay? And this is what we call the 3 challenges around the urban mobility. 1, cost. I mean, everybody, of course, looking for savings, efficiencies. Today, we reached the point where the on-demand solutions like Gett can offer a valid alternative for big investments. There is an example that is, is really very, very interesting. Again, it's Uber-based. I appreciate that. In US, there was a mayor of a city that, at the end, he had to trade off between building a parking space for a station, for a train station, costing him, I don't know, £15 million or $50 million, or subsidizing Uber rides for all the people in his city for, I don't know, the next 3 years, in order to allow them to go to the station in the morning and to go back from the station to the house in the evening, instead of clogging the station with their own cars. Amazing. Nobody could ever thought about it just a few years ago. Second one, customers. I mean, customers are, we have to think about the customers of today, but also the customers of tomorrow, okay? So the target is to improve the service provision for the whole population. I mentioned it before, how vulnerable are some population for lack of proper public transportation, like people missing appointments in the NHS. So the mission is we have to find a way for everybody to move in town, also for the less tech-savvy part of the population. City, we all have, I believe, a common challenge in it and shared responsibilities. In London, there are 9,000 people dying every single year for diseases clearly or directly linked to pollution. So which role we can play in that? One, of course, is reducing private car usage. Second one is find new ways to deliver goods, which is very close to what you were saying before. I mean, one of the main reasons for London congestion are actually vans delivering Amazon and a few other things. So there are good ways to do it. Third, of course, the acceleration of the adoption of electric vehicles. Big challenge for everybody. Infrastructure not really there yet. What we can do, of course, is to improve with our technology the utilization of those vehicles so that will make more economical sense to use them and then replace the standard carbon fueled vehicles. So 3 big challenges, 3 big challenges. How we do it? That's the Gett way. I mean, I won't talk about technology, it's a given, otherwise it won't be here. Let me talk about the 3 other things. One is, we call it existing assets, okay? Let me give you an idea. Last year, before the summer, Uber, and I'm sorry, I always have to refer to the big giant in town, they were putting on the road 600 new cars every single week. 600, every single week, okay? This is not using existing assets, okay? This is moving people away from public network to a different way of moving, but adding metal, adding tires, adding something in a system that is already congested. Our strategy, that's the Gett way, is to use existing high-quality assets, and that's the reason why in London we do use black cabs. They're amazing not only for the car, but mainly for the drivers. Second point, very much linked to what Rana was saying before. Technology is not enough, okay? You need a strong operational backbone behind it, okay? And customers actually are ready to pay for it. That's the miracle behind it. So we do have a 24/7 call center based in London, a couple of miles away from here. Of course, it has a cost, but the big challenge is to make it sustainable, okay, from an operational and cost standpoint. And then you can imagine that is our kind of key value proposition for corporate customers, because that's what the customer wants, high quality service, very much accessible, high level. Is the price really important? A little bit less, okay? Last but not least, we want to be the good guy in the room, okay? When we talk with Transport for London, we talk with other authorities, we don't want to break the system. We want to make the system work. And that's why interaction with institutions and partners is something that we're really pushing for, because it will help us to create an ecosystem around our technology that will allow everybody to move in town in a better and more efficient way. Okay? So massive, massive challenges will happen. What we really believe is we have to make it right since the very beginning with an approach that is sustainable. Okay? If you don't want to see our cities, or our parents or ourselves, waiting for hours to go to an hospital appointment, we don't want to see our kids, our next generation, spending hours in the cars. Maybe, spending their time on Instagram and Facebook is great, but they could do something better outside. We have to make it right since the very beginning, because big, big changes will come. And the way to do it is to disrupt it in some way. And that's my landing thought, is what we call sustainable disruption. It's not a dream, it's our target. But our target is to enhance the lives of everybody in this town, to create a sustainable future for our cities, sustainable, but through a disrupting technology. That's what we're here for.
Thank you very much, Matteo, for a wonderful insight